Okay, so we're gonna record over here. Very good. Okay, so let us begin. So again, we're on Daf Yud Daled Amud Beis, literally at the bottom. We're going to do Daf Tesvav today. We're going to do Daf Tesvav on Aleph and most of Tesvav Amud Beis in today's class, hopefully, God willing. Okay, so Amar Rabba Bar Chana, Amar Rabbi Yochanan. So okay, let's establish something before we go. We talked about this in a previous class, and it's something called a lav shenita klase. What's a lav shenita klase? Lav means a sin, a problem, something that you did a problem. So sometimes if you do something, there's punishment involved, right? Anything from capital punishment to lashes or to kares that you get kares, and that's by bezdin shamayla, not by a bezdin shalmata, right? But there's punishments for certain sins, certain lavs that you do, right? Now, lav shenita klase, that there's a lav, but if you do it, the Torah tells you how to correct it, right? That Neisar is the big example. Neisar is a sacrifice that you bring in the temple, right? And you're supposed to eat it within a certain time. So we know the Karban Pesach needs to be eaten that night. Other Karbanis has a day, 2 days, up to 2.5 days, right? That you need to finish it. And the pasuk says, and if you did leave out, you're not allowed to leave out Neisar. It's a lav. But then there's an asay that happens only if you're over the lav. You can never accomplish this asay. Right? This mitzvah say that what? That if it's left over, don't eat it, go burn it. And that's how mitzvah say based on a lav. So then there's no punishment when it comes to those lavs, right? Because it's a lav shenita klasei. You just go ahead and fix it. The Torah tells you how to fix it. There's no, what's a punishment? It's a correction. It's a right. If you have to bring a carbon as a punishment, right? What is it? It's a cleansing, right? So here, what's the cleansing? Torah already tells you what the cleansing is. So therefore, usually, lav shenita klasei, a lav, a sin that's connected to a positive commandment, there's no malchus. Specifically, we're talking about lashes over here in this mesefta, so there's no lashes, right? Now, what about other types of things? If there's a mitzvah say before the lav that you should become tahar, or if you go into the Beis Hamikdash tamei, so there's a positive and then there's a negative, not the other order. The other order is lav shenita klasei. So what's the concept over there? So that's where that's where the Gemara is holding. So Amar Rabba Bar Chana, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Rabba Bar Chana says in the name of Rabbi Yochanan. So keep in mind, he says this, not his own Torah, he's saying in the name of Rabbi Yochanan. And what does he say? Call loisaseh shekad meyaseh, like in the love. That if there's a loisaseh, if there's a lav, but there's a previous, there's an assay, there's a possible assay before. Which, for example, what's the lav? Like going into the Beis Hamikdash tamei. What's the kadmei assay? You could have got yourself pure before going to the Beis Hamikdash, right? So there is a mitzvah. So it's not like a lav nitakasei. In that case, like in a lav, if it's a sin, if it's a lav that you get malchus, that you get lashes, so you do get lashes in that case. That's what Rabbi Bar Chana says in the name of Rabbi Yochanan. Now we're on Daf Tezvav Amud Aleph. Amrulai. So now people heard this from Rabbi Bar Chana and they go running to Rabbi Yochanan. Right? Rabbi Bar Chana says in the name of Rabbi Yochanan. So they come to Rabbi Yochanan and they tell him, Marta, did you say such a thing? Rabbi Yochanan, did you say such a thing? And he says, Amalu. Rabbi Yochanan answers, "Lie, I never said something like that in my life." We'll see, because he kind of like it sounds like he said it and then he backtracked on what he said. But Rabba, so Rabba is also there, right? You have Rabba, he said in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, and Rabba says, Elikim, like in Hashem's name, I swear, right? That Rabbi Yochanan said this. Elikim Amar, that Rabbi Yochanan definitely said this. And then he says, not only that, Uktiva Utenina, that this is already something that we have written in the Torah, and it's learned already. So it's not something new. It's not even something that Rabbi Yochanan. It's something that we have from already mentioned in the Torah. Why is it? Where do we see in the Torah? It says in the Torah, "V'yishalchu min hamachana," that when it comes to someone that's tamei, what do you have to do? Send them out of the machna, out of the encampment, right? It says that you should send them out of the encampment. What is that? It's a positive commandment. Send them out of the encampment is a mitzvah say. It's a positive, it's an action. It's not a love, it's not a negative, right? To send them away. But what are we worried about? Why are we sending him out of the encampment? We're worried he's going to go to the Beis Mikdash, or the Mishkan in that case, I guess, in the pasuk, right? He's going to go into the temple while being tamei. So vishalchu min hamachna, the positive before to send them away, right? And then the pasuk continues. The next pasuk says, "V'lo yitamos machaneim," and then you shouldn't make the encampment impure, right? Which is the warning of the lav. So you have the asay and then the lav, not the lav and then the asay, right? You have the asay and then the lav. That's what it says in the pasuk, right? Utanina, so that is the ksiva. That's where it's written in the Torah. Tanina, we learned based on a Mishnah that we had already, Abal Mikdash Tamei, right? Someone that comes to the Beis Mikdash in an impure state. This is our Mishnah that we're still dealing with, right? Talk about different sins that you can get Malchus for. Abal Mikdash Tamei, what do you get? You get Malchus. You can get lashes for coming Tamei into the Beis Mikdash, right? So we see. So first, Rabbi Bar Chana says the name of Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan says, I never said this. Rabbi Bar Chana says, first of all, you did. I swear to it, so to speak. I promise. I heard you saying it. But not only that, we have it in the pasuk, and we have the pasuk that says the asay and then the lav, and then we have a Mishnah, our Mishnah, that says that in such a case you would get malchus, you get lashes. So the Gemara asks, hello. So now that we have something explaining Rabbi Yochanan's approach, right? My time So now, okay, so Rabbi Yochanan backtracked. He said something, and I backtrack. So let's understand, why did Rabbi Yochanan backtrack and say that you won't necessarily get lashes if there's an assay and then a leis asay? My time why did he backtrack on his opinion? So the Gemara says, because there's a problem with that statement. What's the problem? The Gemara is going to bring up a case. So let me just tell you outside the case. I'm going to bring up and I'm going to then bring up a second case, because the Gemara is for the whole Gemara today, we're going to be comparing those two cases. So there's a din in the Torah. It's a pasuk in the Torah that if a man rapes a woman that's not married, so he has to marry her, right? He has to marry if she wants, obviously. But she has the right to say no, she obviously. But he has no right to say no. He can't get, and not only that, the pasuk says lo tia liisha, and he can't send her away kol yamav. And he can never send her away. So a regular woman that you marry, if you want to get divorced, you're allowed to get divorced. In this case, the Torah is very, 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 no, you can't send her away. Call Yama all the days of her life. It's a pasuk in the Torah. It's not a Mishnah. It's not a Medrash. It's a pasuk in the Torah. Okay. Now, that's one case that we're going to be talking about. The other case that the Gemara is going to be talking about over here is if someone is married. Okay. If someone is married, and he says something about his wife that is not true. He says that she had an affair, right? Maitzi Shemra, it's called Maitzi Shemra. So also what's the logic? At least what I understand. What do I understand in Torah's logic? But still, right? Let's try to understand. So he's trying to get out of a marriage that he doesn't want. So he bashmutzes her. No. You might get out of marriage, do a divorce, do it the normal way, right? No problem. That's this possibility in the Torah. The Torah says you're allowed to do a get. It's not there is such a thing. But if you bite shemra, bashmut somebody, she stays your wife if she wants, obviously, and you can't send her away. So there's two cases in the Torah, right? And we're going to compare the two, where it says that the man has no choice in the matter. Right? Has no choice in the matter. It has to be married to this. Keep in mind, they're talking biblically. It could be they're married to more than one person. That's a whole nother discussion, but just, the idea. And that the man has to stay married or get married to her and can never divorce her. It's very unique. It's not something that's in it. I can't think of any other case, something like that, but it's like these are two cases that it says something similar like that in the pasuk, and we're going to discuss those two cases. So, we're back to Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan backtracked from an opinion that he said, and the Gemara is going to now say that the reason why he backtracked is because there is this case of Einus. What's the case of Einus, right? The case of Einus that I told you, the first case, someone that is someone that rapes a girl, an unmarried girl, right? So now the Brisa says that okay, so in that case, it's considered to be an assay before a lav, and then it says over there in the Brisa, Tanya, it says in the Brisa, Oynis shegedish. So the lav is that you're not allowed to divorce her, right? You're not allowed to divorce her. And what if he did divorce her? That's a lav. What's the assay? Stay married to her, right? So now, but what if he did divorce her? Im Yisrael who, so if he's a Yisrael, meaning not a Kohen, right? What does it mean a Yisrael? Not that he's a Jew, right? We're talking about that he's not a Kohen. So if he's not a Kohen, so then that he's allowed, in that case, he's allowed to marry a divorcee, right? Kohen can't marry a divorcee, right? So Machzir, he has to bring her back. He has to remarry her. That's the halacha. And in that case, he won't get lashes. So what do we have over here? And I say, keep married to her. Allah said, don't divorce her, right? And now if you did divorce her, just remarry her, and then you won't get lashes. So here we have a say that's followed by a lav, and you don't get lashes. And that's why Rabbi Yochanan backtracked on his statement. That's what the Gemara is saying. Then it continues in koyenu, but if he's a koyen, then he does get lashes, and he can't obviously remarry because she is a divorcee. Right, so basically the Gemara here is analyzing this. Im Yisrael that if he's a Yisrael, he can remarry her, and then he doesn't get lashes. Amai, why doesn't he get lashes? Obviously, right? We should have said that it's a say before a loisas, and therefore he gets lashes, right? Which is the statement of Rabbi Baruch in the name of Rabbi Yochanan. And this is what Rabbi Yochanan's problem was, and therefore he backtracked on what he said. So Amar Ula. So Ula comes and he tries to explain it in a different way. Lo Yoimar. Now, basically, what he's going to bring up is that because remember I told you two scenarios, and both scenarios say loy siya li isha, right? That she should stay married to him. And now the Gemara is basically going to analyze that we only need one place because you could learn one from the other. So the fact that it says a second time, it's coming to tell us something. What's it coming to tell us? So the Gemara is going to explain that it's coming to tell us in a case of that you divorce the girl even though you're not supposed to, so then you should remarry her, and then it's a lav shenita klase, because then it's a lav that you shouldn't divorce her, but then there's a correction that you could remarry her, and that's where the Gemara is going with it. So let's see it inside. Amarullah. Ula says, Lo Yoimar, it didn't have to say, Lo Yisia Isha Ba'ines. It didn't have to say by Oines, by the case of rape, that she should stay to be a wife for him, Veligmar, because you can learn it as a Kal V'Chemer from Maiti Shemra. You can learn it from Maiti Shemra. Maiti Shemra, right, is the man that puts out a bad name on his wife, says a lie about his wife, right? They find that he lied. So now, Maitzi Shemra, he did something bad to a person, but he didn't do any action, right? And the pasuk says that Loisi Elisha, she has to be married to him. When it comes to Einis, that he actually did an action, that right? Like Kol Shekain, wouldn't it be? We could learn in a Kal V'Chemer, a Kol Shekain, a Kal V'Chemer, that in that case also it's have to stay. He would have to be married to her, right? So here, basically, we're saying that Loisi Elisha is extra. So im einoi inyan lefanov. So the Gemara basically learns. So if it's not coming to teach us that he has to marry her before a divorce, inyan lefanov before the divorce. So Tanei Olin Achrav. So then it's coming to teach us something for afterwards. What's the afterwards? Sheim Gede, Sheachzir. So the extra. So since it says it twice, it says it once by Oinus and once by Onus and once by Maitzi Shemra. So we learn from there that if he divorces her, he has to take her back. Right? That is the way Ula learns it. But the Gemara is going to go back and forth on this because it's not so clear and it's not so simple. Va'akati, and still, right? Basically, va'akati means and still, which means that we still need that loisir isha should be said by oinus. We said it shouldn't. It doesn't have to be said by oinus because we could learn it from Maitzi Shemra. But he says no, va'akati. We still need to mention it by oinus. Why? Why? Because oitzim Maitzi Shemra loy gamar. You can't learn. It's not a kal v'chaymer. Because which one is the kal and which one is the chaymer? You can't learn aynes from Maitzi Shemra. The ikal lemifrach leMaitzi Shemra shkin loika u'mishalim. Ma leMaitzi Shemra shkin loika u'mishalim. That you could ask, you could push away the kal v'chaymer. Usually you call Maitzi Shemra the kal, the lower level, the easier one. And by there, why? Because there was no action involved. And over there, what's the halacha? That you have to keep her as a wife, right? So for sure, in a case where there was an action, you have to keep her as a wife. That's the chaymer. But the Gemara says that there's an interesting caveat and there's an interesting halacha that's only by Maitzi Shemra. Usually, and we learned this already in the Gemara over here, that if you're obligated in two punishments, you only pay the higher punishment, right? If it's for the same action, if it's the same sin, right? If you did multiple things, it's a different story, right? And remember, we had a whole discussion in the Gemara if Karis comes into that play or not, because that's Bidei Shamayim or not, right? But if for one thing there could be two punishments, so you only get the harsher of the two punishments. But Maitzi Shemra is different. Maitzi Shemra, since it's such a harsh thing, go and say something negative about your wife like that. So it's such a harsh thing that the Torah says, like u'mashalim, you get malchus and you have to pay a fine. And you have to do both. So it's a unique thing. So if it's such a unique thing, that means that maybe it's not kal, maybe it's the chaymer. So you can't learn something else that doesn't have that caveat part of it. So therefore, you can't learn aynes, you can't learn the case of rape from the case of Maitzi Shemra, of putting out a bad name on your wife. Right? So that's the way the Gemara pushes away the statement of Ula, the understanding of Ula. So the Gemara brings another answer. Ella lo yoimar lo yisiyah isha b'maitzi shemra. So in second, so if you're going to tell me that maitzi shemra is the more chomor, is the more stringent one, it's the harsher one, so then you don't have to say lo yisiyah isha by maitzi shemra, because you could learn v'ligmer ma'aynes. You could learn it as a kal v'chaymer from aynes, right? If the rape case is the kal, so then if kal says loisi elisha, so for sure by the chaymer, by Maitzi Shemra, so over there also loisi elisha. Ma aynes shein elokim mishalem amrachman of loisi elisha. Just if by aynes, by rape, by the case of rape, it's not loikum mishalem. He doesn't have to pay and get lashes. He doesn't get both punishments. But in that case, the pasuk says that she stays as a wife. Maitzi Shemra, that there is this idea of loikum mishalem, that it's harsher because there's idea of payment and meaning a fine. And lashes like kol shekain. So this is a kol shekain, like not all the more so that it should be also loisi elisha. So you don't need that it should say loisi elisha by Maitzi Shemra. So lama nemar. So why does it say loisi elisha by Maitzi Shemra? So imena yinyin l'maitzi shemra. So if it's not coming to teach us something from Maitzi Shemra, because Maitzi Shemra we could learn from Aynes. So Tanei Olin Aynes. So lend it over, learn it for the case of Aynes. But we don't need it for Aynes because already it says by Aynes Leisi Elisha. We don't need it for the original Leisi Elisha. But Tanei Olin Achrav, that we could learn it for something later. That if he divorces her, he has to take her back. And then what is it? It's a lav shenita klasei, right? Leisi Elisha is the say, Leisuchal shalcha is the lav, and then that's why you don't get lashes in that case. And then it would explain why in this case there's no lashes, because it's not a say and then a lav, it's a lav shenita klasei, it's a lav and then a say. But the Gemara doesn't like it either, and the Gemara pushes it off and says, you can't learn. Just previously we said we can't learn Einis from Meitzah Shemra. Now the Gemara is going to say we can't learn Meitzah Shemra from Einis. Why? Because you could push away the kal v'chomer. Why? There's a chumrah, there's a stringency, there's something more tough in the scenario of rape where there was an action. So therefore, maybe it is the chomer. We don't know which one is the chomer. So they're both chomer in one way. So not one a kal and the other one chomer, and therefore you can't learn a kal v'chomer from Meitzah Shemra to Einis, and you can't learn a kal v'chomer from Einis to Meitzah Shemra. They're two very different cases. Each one has its uniqueness and therefore its unique stringency. So you can't learn from one to the other. And that's why the Torah says Loisi Elisha by both of them. And it's not superfluous. So the Gemara tries to give another way that it is considered to be a lav shenita klasei, that oinus, that the case of rape is lav shenita klasei. Elo lo yoimar. So now he says, there's another reason why you shouldn't say Loitzi Elisha by Meitzah Shemra. Keep in mind, by Meitzah Shemra, he's married to the woman, right? And he puts out a bad rumor, he puts out a bad rumor about her, right? But he's married to her. In the case of Ray, he's not married. The pasuk says you have to marry her, and on top of that, you can never divorce her. But by Meitzah Shemra, he's already married to her. So what does it say Loitzi Elisha? Why does the pasuk say that she should be for him as a wife? Should just say you can't divorce her. They're already married. Oh, so now it's not a kal v'chomer anymore. Now there's loisucha, loisil elisha, extra words over here by Meitzah Shemra specifically, right? They're already married. So lo yomer loisil elisha, but Meitzah Shemra shari ishtoyi. They're already married. So lama nemar. So why does it taka say? Why taka does it say loisil elisha? So if it doesn't mean anything to Meitzah Shemra, because they're already married, so Loisi Elisha doesn't mean anything, right? Doesn't add anything. So let's add something to Einis. What's the Einis? But we already have by Einis that he should marry her. Oh, so we're learning it for afterwards. If a case that he divorces her, so then he has to remarry. What's the problem with that? What's the problem with that? So the Gemara right away goes and says, 1 second, what's going on over here? Loitzi Elisha is superfluous by Meitzah Shemra. Okay, agreed. So now you're saying, since it's superfluous here, let's take it to Einis. No, just use it by Meitzah Shemra in a case where he divorces her. Right? And if it's in a case that he divorces her, that Loisi Elisha, he has to remarry her. And that's the next part of the Gemara. Ve'ema. Right? So say by Meitzah Shemra that if he divorces her, which he's not allowed to do, it's a lav, then the pasuk says Loisil Elisha, he has to remarry her if he's a Yisrael, right? He has to remarry her, and that's a say. So you have a lav shnita say the loylaki, that he doesn't get malchus, he doesn't get lashes in such a case. And the Gemara says, Enachanami, you're right. We could learn it from there. And then, since the halacha is like that, since we learn by Meitzah Shemra that Loisil Elisha is a lav shnita klasei, so we also learn Einis from there. Because it's the same, because it's the same halacha, so therefore
this
Einis.
Guy accused his wife of infidelity, and it was proven that she did not.
That he lied.
Right. But he accused her and he said, I divorce you.
Well, not right away.
After she's proven that she didn't.
Yeah.
He's not allowed to.
Oh, that's a lav, right? So should he get malchus if he does that? So comes the Gemara and says, since it says Loisil Elisha, which makes it that he's not allowed to divorce her. So he sinned by divorcing her, right? Now, how does he fix that? Does he fix that with lashes? Or does he fix that with an assay? If he remarries her, he doesn't get lashes because salav shenita klasei. That's the chap of the Gemara here, right? Because
let's her and it's proven that she was correct, that she wasn't in.
If what he says is true,
No, if he says if
what he said is not true, yeah.
So, and he didn't divorce her, but he said it was not true. It was proven that it was not true. So what does he get for that? It's much a shamra.
Right. He has lashes and a fine. Yeah, this is a mighty shemra that the pasuk talks about. It's like one of the worst things that a person could do. So like it's a heavy duty mighty shemra, and that's why we mentioned that it's a chamor. Why? Because it's one of the only places where you can get two punishments for the same thing. So usually we say we give you the harsher punishment. This no. This mighty shemra saying lying like that. You have to do two. You get two punishments, and it's a unique halacha, a Torah halacha, not even a biblical, not a rabbinic, not a Gemara halacha. This is based on a pasuk in the Torah. Very serious thing, very very serious thing. Right? Okay. So basically, let's go back a little bit to the beginning of today's Gemara. Right? Rabbi Bar Chana comes and says that Rabbi Yochanan was of the opinion that if there was an asay and then a lav, that it's not the same as lav shenitik laseh, and therefore for that lav you can get lashes. Rabbi Yochanan says, I never said that. And the Gemara analyzes why did Rabbi Yochanan say that. Rabbi Yochanan said that because he has a problem by oinus. Because by oinus, it seems that it's an asay and then a lav. What's the asay and then a lav? The asay is that you should marry her, right? And the lav is never divorce her. And in that case, you don't get lashes. So therefore, he said, maybe for an asay and then a lav, we don't get lashes. Comes the Gemara and says, no, that was, at least the way we're learning so far, it's a lav shenitek lasay, because it's a lav and then an asay. It's not an asay and then a lav. Okay? But the Gemara pushes it away and says, how are you going to learn oines? How are you going to learn oines from Maitzi Shemra? Right? We established that Maitzi Shemra, it is a lav shenitek laseh, right? By Maitzi Shemra, if he divorces her later, to fix that is not lashes, to fix that is to remarry her, right? But if he's a kohen, he gets lashes, right? Because he can't fix it with the aseh. So there's no lav shenitek laseh. He has no positive commandment that he could do to fix it, right? But if he's a Yisrael, the fixing is that he should marry her. That's lav shenitek laseh. So Gemara says, okay, so if it's like that by Maitzi Shemra, so we'll say it's the same thing by oines. So Gemara says, well, you can't just say that. It has to be a kal v'chomer of sorts, right? It has to be a connection. So, by my government, what limud are you using in order to get to that conclusion that we're learning oines from Maitzi Shemra? If you're going to say by it's like a kal v'chomer mamatzino, we already pushed those away. We already established that we can't establish one to be a kal and one to be a chomer. We can't establish each one has a stringency that the other one doesn't have. So each one could be the chomer, and therefore you can't learn a kal v'chomer from one to the other, right? We could upslug the kal v'chomer like we have done already. Right? That oinus is more stringent, and therefore maybe he will get lashes because the case of Maitzi Shemra, there was no action, so it can't be that you learn it as a kal v'chomer. Okay, so that is Ula's try to explain that, and now we're going to go to Rava. Elamar Rava. So Rava comes and he tries to explain it in a different way. It says, Lo yuchal shalcha kol yamav. It says that you can't send her away, meaning can't divorce her. And then it continues, it says, kol yamav, all his days. Kol yamav. If it would have just say Lo yuchal shalcha, that's good enough. What's kol yamav? What's all his days adding, right? If you can't send her away, you can't divorce her, that's good enough. It's enough to just say that. What is it? Why is the Torah add kol yamav, the words all his days? It seems to be superfluous. And if there is extra words, there's something else that's coming to teach us, obviously. So what's kol yamav coming to teach us? Kol yamav is coming to teach us that if he divorces her, he has to take her back. So now it's a lav shenitek laseh. And Ravin came and he also said the name of Rabbi Yochanan. Keep in mind, same Rabbi Yochanan, right? That the pasuk says Kol Yamav is ba'amoid v'hachzer. I don't know how he translates it there in the English. But ba'amoid v'hachzer means that when he divorces her, Kol Yamav means that if he divorces her, which he wasn't allowed to do, v'hachzer, he returns her to him, meaning he gets remarries. So Rav Papa comes and asks on the original statement that Rabbi Bar Bechana said in the name of Rabbi Yochanan. Again, Rabbi Bar Bechana said in the name of Rabbi Yochanan that if you had an asay and then a lav, you could get malchus, you could get lashes. If it's a lav shenit nitek lasay, if it's a lav and then an asay, that's when you don't get lashes, right? But if it's an asay and then a lav, then you do get lashes. But if you remember, we learned this in the Gemara before, that we learn all the halachas of malchus from leisachsim she'er about not muzzling an animal, right, an ox while it's threshing. You can't, and since that is malchus, the laws of malchus of lashes are next to the halacha of leisachsim she'er not muzzling an animal while it's working. So the Gemara learns that all the halachas of lashes have to be similar to leisachsim she'er has to be similar to that case. So Rav Papa tells Rava, says, you just said, Rabbi Yochanan said that if there's a lav, if there's an asay and then a lav, what's the asay? Is the impure person should leave the territory, and the lav is not to go into the Beis Hamikdash. And in that case, you do get lashes, right? If you do go into the Beis Hamikdash or something like that. So he says, "V'haloi dame la'avye lelav dechsima." Says, what's the similarity between this lav, meaning going into the Beis Hamikdash tamei, to the lav of leisachsim she'er b'dishay, of not muzzling your ox? Didn't we establish that they have to be similar? So why, what's the connection? Why are they getting lashes for such a sin if it's not similar to leisachsim? And really what we mentioned is that it should be similar to leisachsim. Amar lei, so Rava answers Rav Papa mishum dekasav beirachmana asay yesera migra gora. So he says, because, meaning by leisachsim she'er b'dishay, it doesn't say that there's an asay and then there's a lav, right? It just says you're not allowed to muzzle. It doesn't say make sure you have a positive commandment to make sure that your animal eats while it's working, and you have a negative commandment not to muzzle it. It doesn't do that, right? So therefore, over here, when you say that there is an asay followed by leisachsim, that's not leisachsim. Leisachsim is just an asay. Just a leisachsim, right? So therefore, so Rava answers, says, well, because the Torah makes it even more serious, that gives you an asay followed by a leisachsim, so therefore you cancel the punishment. On the contrary, it's a more serious one. So for sure, you should get malchus. You should for sure get lashes. That's the way Rava answers Rav Papa. So then Rav Papa asks back, so then if you have a lav that has an asay afterwards, you should also get lashes. Why is that different? So you should say by that also, just because the Torah gave you an opportunity to do a mitzvah say, so therefore it lessens the leisachsim. Amarlei, so Rav answers him, says in that case, and this is the way I explained it to you in the beginning, in that case, when the Torah gives you an asay after a lav, the Torah is giving it to you as a correction to what you've done. Usually, if not, there's the malchus. If you muzzled your animal when it was threshing, which is a pasuk in Torah says you're not allowed to do that, you can get lashes, right? By the way, you have to get warned, etc., etc. But if someone's doing that, it muzzles the animal, and so two guys are walking by his field and say, "Chevraman, you're not allowed to do that. The Torah says leisachsim she'er b'dishay." He says, "I don't care." He says, "You know, you can get lash, you can get malchus and bezdin for doing that to your animal." And he says, "I don't care." Okay, that guy will get lashes, right? But if the Torah would have said, "Oh, if you did this, so then you do this other mitzvah, I don't know, you give tzedakah or something like that, or you treat your animal like a king, and that's the mitzvah say," so then that would fix it. But we don't have mitzvah say over there afterwards. But in a case where we do have a mitzvah say, like in the example I gave you about Noisar, right, a sacrifice that was left over, the pasuk tells you that in this case you don't need lashes because we're fixing it in another way. So now the Gemara is going to bring out another argument, and this is an argument between Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish, and it's on the same concept that we're talking about over here. So let me just tell you the argument outside, and then we're going to go into it. And the concept is like this. Okay. let's use the example of the carbon. There's many examples of lav shenita glasei, but let's use the example of the carbon so that way it's clear. The lav is lo yseisiru. The lav is don't leave it over, right? Then the pasuk continues and gives you a nitak. It's connected to an asay that if you did leave it over, go ahead and burn it, right? So in that case, fix it by burning it. What if you don't burn it? What if you leave it in your freezer? Do you get lashes or not? Right? What if Adam come, witnesses come and say, that piece of meat, you left it over. So you're not allowed to eat it. You have to burn it. So I don't care. I'm not planning on burning it. Right?
You have a certain time to burn it, or it's,
One second. That's the discussion of the Gemara over here. No, meaning do it right away. If you're not going to do it right away, so then we'll bring you to Bezdin, and you could get lashes for not doing it, right? Meaning whatever. Give him a day to do it. Whatever. It doesn't matter. The time is not the issue here, right? The question is, the argument of the Gemara is, the fact that there is a positive commandment that he could do, does that release him of the malchus of the lashes? Or only if he does that positive commandment, does that release him of the lashes? And so Machlekes is Rabbi Yechon and Rish Lakish, right?
It doesn't sound like it sounds like one is not defensible.
Oh, so let me give you this. Which one is defensible? Do the mitzvah.
Yeah.
Do the mitzvah, and then you don't get lashes.
Yeah.
The other opinion says, no, this sin doesn't have a malchus punishment whatsoever. The punishment is that you have to do the mitzvah say. You didn't do the mitzvah say. So what? There is no malchus in this sin, right? You understand the difference? That's the svara. Meaning, nicer. If you leave over nicer, right? If you leave over nicer, what's the punishment? According to one opinion, the punishment is lashes. But if you do the positive commandment, so then you get out of the lashes. According to the other, no, there's no punishment here whatsoever. Why is there no punishment? Because they're to give you another way. You didn't accomplish the other way. So what? You understand what I mean? So it's the same thing. Like this guy did X, Y, and Z, and I don't know. He deserves a punishment of a fine. So if we're going to give him lashes. We're not going to give him lashes. That's not the punishment for this sin that he did, right? The punishment is a fine. Here, the punishment is that he has to do the mitzvahs as say. That's the rationale, at least the way I understand the rationale of the two arguments. You're right that one does make more sense because, of course, the Torah tells you to do mitzvah say, but if you're not going to do it, so then it makes sense that there might be an issue of lashes. But that's only one opinion. There is another side to it. But you're right. In my mind, also, that way makes more sense. Okay, so now the Gemara is going to say that. So one is bitloi v'loi bitloi, and one is kimoi v'loi kimoi. The idea. So here. This is where it comes up. What if? Makes your question stronger, actually. What if there's an opportunity to do mitzvah say, but he destroys that opportunity? If he destroys that opportunity, that's called bitloi. He destroyed the opportunity. Now he has no way of doing the asay connected the nitak to the lav, right? In that case, we get lashes, right? So that's mixed up a little bit. That's the other opinion. One opinion says that as long as he still has the opportunity to do that mitzvah asay, we wait it out until he can't do that mitzvah say anymore. At that point, then he'll get lashes. The other opinion is no, tell him to do it right now. And if he doesn't do it in a normal period of time, I mean, we're talking about with Eidim and Asra, right? With Eidim, with witnesses and warnings, etc. If he doesn't do it, so then in a day, when you give him a day to do it, or if he says that he's overloaded with work, you give him a week to do it. You could do it on a Sunday when he's not working, whatever. You give him a reasonable amount of time, and then then he could get lashes.
In both cases, he gets lashes.
He could.
So where's the argument between Resh Lakish and
how long you wait? Oh, there is a good question. The Gemara says, "B'maikom ifligi." Yeah. B'maikom ifligi, and they're going to bring up a scenario where the halacha would be different by the two of them. So let's see it inside. So Rava says, "Kol Yamav." The extra words Kol Yamav is coming to tell us that if divorce is there, you have to take it back, right? Kol Yamav, the extra words. So he says that works with the opinion of bitloi v'loi bitloi, of the opinion that as long as he didn't destroy the opportunity to do the mitzvahs aseh, he doesn't get lashes, right? But according to the opinion that it's about this guy has to get lashes, and if he does the mitzvah say he gets out of getting lashes, right? So Michael Meimar. So how are you going to learn Rava's words, right? Because he says Kol Yamav, then he always has that opportunity to remarry her. Kol Yamav, all his life. So that makes sense that the mitzvah say is always there as long as they're both alive. The mitzvah say is always there, right? So that's the way Rava learns. So that fits with the approach that as long as the mitzvah say is there, there's no punishment of Malchus. But how does it fit with the approach of and I think it's Reish Lakish, the other approach, if I remember correctly, that it has to do with him doing the mitzvah, nothing to do with just the mitzvah being available to him. It has to be that he actually does the mitzvah in order to get out of the Malchus.
There has to be a time limit for the Lotus.
It's a machlekes of Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish.
I know, but there has to be a time limit.
Why?
It's like if you forgot to say mincha, let's say, or if you forgot to do something in a prayer, you have a certain amount of time that you can do it. But when you come around to the same mitzvah the next day or the second day, and you still didn't do it, you have to do it.
Right,
before.
but it's
So in this case, let's say it's a Korban Pesach. Okay, next year you got Korban Pesach again, and you didn't do it the first time.
I know, but
you come to the second time.
So
there's got to be a limit.
So let me explain to you the theory. I think if I remember correctly, Rabbi Yochanan. So Rabbi Yochanan says like this. Rabbi Yochanan says that when there's a lav shenitek laseh, there's a lav. You might say that because you did the sin, you can get lashes. But because there's an assay afterwards, no, you don't get lashes. Oh, if there's no assay, if it's not nitak lasay, then you get lashes. When is there no assay? If you destroyed that opportunity.
How do you destroy that opportunity?
You threw the meat into the garbage instead of burning it. The meat doesn't exist anymore, and you didn't burn it.
So you have no benefit from that.
Right? I'm just saying. There's a random scenario, right? There's many other lav shenitek laseh, and each one is going to be its own scenario, right? So but Reish Lakish says no. As soon as you left over that meat, you deserve malchus. You want to get out of malchus, go burn it. It's a whole different approach, and that's why there's no time limit according to Rabbi Yochanan, because what you have to get done is burn it. That's what you have to get done. You can't burn it anymore for whatever reason. Now you're going to get lashes. We go to the next step. But as long as you could burn it, it's a potential that you could burn it, then yeah. Okay, so the Gemara comes and says, Midiu Taima. Now, so now the Gemara is going to say, because we just asked that the answer of Rava of Kol Yamav, of all his days, only goes according to the opinion of the opinion of bitloi v'loi bitloi, that he doesn't get lashes as long as he didn't destroy the opportunity to do the asay. So, but it fits with that opinion, but doesn't fit with the other opinions. The Gemara says, yeah, but that's the opinion of Rabbi Yochanan, and that's what we're trying to uphold. So perfect. Rabbi Yochanan, Amar leil Rabbi Yochanan Latanya, Tani bitloi. We have that statement from Rabbi Yochanan that he holds bitloi and he holds bitloi and not kimoi, right? That he holds this idea of that he's not obligated in lashes unless he destroyed the opportunity to do the mitzvah saying. So then it fits. Rava's answer fits with Rabbi Yochanan because that's the opinion of Rabbi Yochanan. And then he brings the case of Rabbi Yochanan. The Tana Kamid Rabbi Yochanan. We're on Tesvav Amabeis. Second paragraph, I guess. The Tani Tana Kamei Rabbi Yochanan. That there was a sage that taught in front of an Amira, a Talmudic sage that taught a brayso in front of Rabbi Yochanan, and the brayso goes like this: Kol mitzvah sleisaser sheyesh ben kumasei, any negative mitzvah sleisaser that has afterwards a kumasei, get up and do something to fix it, right? Which is a lav shenitek lasei kiyem asei sheba pater. If he accomplished the assay, right? So now he's not liable, he's potter, so he's not liable for lashes. Bitul asay, if he destroyed the asay, meaning he didn't do the asay, so chayiv, then he does get lashes. Amar lei, so this happens, there's a sage that's saying this statement, and it's in front of Rabbi Yochanan. So Rabbi Yochanan, but he's not saying his own thing, he's reading a brayse, right? So Rabbi Yochanan turns to him and he says, Amar lei, my comrade, what did you say? My comrade. Kiyim pater like kiyim chayev. That if he did the mitzvah, then he's not liable for lashes, and if he didn't do the mitzvah, he's liable for lashes. So
Not the mitzvah, say.
yeah. And then bitel chayev like bitel pater. And if he destroyed the opportunity to the mitzvah, so then he's liable for lashes. And you should have learned it. And if he didn't destroy it, so then he's not liable for lashes. And that's what Rabbi Yochanan says. Tni, you have to learn it. Bitloi v'loi bitloi. You have to learn it about whether he has the opportunity to do it, or the opportunity is gone to do this mitzvah say. If he has the opportunity to mitzvah say, potter, he's not liable for lashes. If he doesn't have the opportunity to do the mitzvah say anymore for whatever reason, then he is liable for lashes. And if Shimon ben Lakish, and Reish Lakish was sitting there also, and he says, no, what are you talking about? She say kimai v'lei. That if he does the mitzvah say quickly, right away, so then he's not liable for lashes. If he doesn't, then he is liable for lashes, right? Oh, now the Kamifligi, the Gemara says, what's really their argument? What are they really arguing about? So they're arguing Basra Safik Kamifligi. This is the scenario. Think about it for a second. If it's a lav shenita klase, so you and you need hasra, you need a warning, right? In order to get lashes, you need a warning. So the guy comes and says, says that piece of meat. The witnesses come and say, that piece of meat, you left it over. You're not allowed to. You're not allowed to, right? You get lashes for that. He says, yeah, I don't care. She says, you could get lashes. Lav dafka. The pasuk says I could burn it, and then I don't get lashes. So now is that asra or not?
But he doesn't burn it.
1 second. But the warning that the witnesses gave is asra suffix. What's the asra? They're not telling him if you don't that if you leave it over you could get lashes. So if you don't do the mitzvah say, then you could get lashes. That's asra suffix, right? That's a doubt. We're not sure if you're going to get lashes. So is that a real warning? Is that real hasra? Right? Is that real asra? It's not real asra. According to one, it is real asra. According to the other one, it's not real asra. And that's where they're arguing. That's b'maika miflagi. They're arguing asra safik miflagi. Mar savar Rabbi Yochanan holds asra safik shma asra. That asra safik, a warning that's a safik, is considered to be asra, and that's why he holds that a lav shenitik lasei still gives him the opportunity to do the asay. And only if he doesn't do it or he destroys the opportunity, then he gets lashes, right? Rish Lakish comes and says, no. He says, the warning is a straightforward warning. Either burn it now, or we're warning you, you get malchus, because I can't give you a hasra safek. So either we're standing here right now, you have the opportunity, go ahead and burn it. If not, then give you hasra, that you get malchus. Not that you could do a mitzvah say to get out of it, because then it's asra safek. And according to Rish Lakish, you can't do asra safek. According to Bechana, you could do asra safek. And therefore, he could learn that you still have opportunity to fix it. And then as long as you have the opportunity to fix it with the mitzvah say, you don't get lashes. Rish Lakish says, no, you can't do asra safek. So this asra has to be a proper asra. So therefore, it has to be that givai, either you do the mitzvah now in order to get out of it. If you don't do the mitzvah now, then you can get lashes, because I can't do asra safek. And that's where Rabbi Yochanan, they're not arguing about lav shenitik lasei. They're arguing in a deeper concept of asra safek, and that's really where they're arguing.
What's the conclusion? Who's right?
And we're gonna continue next week of that.
I'll forget about all this. You come with a conclusion, which I don't know anything about the original.
We're gonna do a short recap, because then next week we're going to be talking about that this is the next words, that Rabbi Yechon and Shlakish, this is their opinion. This is not something, this is the way they think, and this is what the Gemara is going to continue.